What are while loops, and when do you use them? In today's video, we're diving into the world of while loops, one of the most powerful tools in programming. A while loop is a control flow statement in programming that allows you to repeat a block of code as long as a specific condition is true. In Python, this is how we write a while loop. You start with the keyword while, followed by the condition, and some code. Think of it like a repeating question. Is this condition true? If yes, it keeps running the code inside the loop. Once the condition is no longer true, the loop stops. So when do we use while loops? Imagine you're making a simple guessing game in Python, and this guessing game is going to allow a user to guess a secret number. So we're going to start with the variable secret number, and we're going to set this variable equal to 15. We're also going to create another variable called userGuess, where it's going to store the user's guessed answer. We're going to use an input function for this, and we're going to tell the user to guess the number. We're going to convert this data type to an integer so we can use it in our program. Now, if we want to give the user specific amount of tries to guess the secret number, we're going to use a for loop, and to do so, we're going to start with the keyword for, I, and range 5. This will give the user 5 tries to guess the number. To check if the user guessed the number correctly, we're going to use an if statement, and we're going to say if the user guessed answer is equal to the secret number, we're going to print correct, because the user guessed the number correctly. However, if the user guessed the number incorrectly, we're going to print false, or incorrect. And we're also going to give the user another try. So we're going to copy and paste this line of code right here. Let's run the code to see if it works. So it says guess the number. I'm going to guess wrong numbers to see when this program stops. So it says false, 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 false. And the program has finished, and it has given the user exactly 5 tries to guess the number. So let's rerun the program and see if it works when you guess the correct number. So I'm going to guess 14, which is the wrong number. Now let's guess the correct number, which is 15. As you can see, it printed correct 4 times. In order to avoid this error, we're going to break the code underneath the line. Print correct. So once we break, we can test our code again. Let's guess an incorrect answer, and let's guess a correct answer. And as you can see, it prints correct. However, what if we wanted the user to guess an unlimited number of times? Well, that's when the power of while loops come in. So instead of using a for I in range function, we're going to be using the keyword while something is true. So this can be replaced by any variable, and to do so, we're going to use a variable called gameOn. And we're going to set this gameOn variable to true. So now we're going to use this gameOn and replace it with the true value, and we're going to use a semicolon. So while the game is on, we're going to run this program right here. So let's run the program and see how it behaves. So let's guess the number 3. As you can see, it behaves like previously, like the for loop, but this time it's going to run infinitely, non-stop. It could take you hundreds of years, and this program will never end until you guess the correct number. But let's see when it actually guesses the correct number. 15. It says correct. As you can see, the program runs correctly. But the only difference that you can use is to break the program. If you remove the break keyword, the program will run infinitely. So you want to avoid infinite loops. As you can see, this program will run on and on forever. This is something you want to avoid. At some point in your code, you need to break the while loop. You need to turn the while loop to false. We can also do this by making the gameOn variable, and we can set it to false. This will also indeed behave the same way. So once we run it and we guess the correct number, the game stops. Here's a challenge for you that tests your knowledge about while loops. Write a program using a while loop where the user has to guess a secret number between 1 and 100. But here's the twist. If the user guesses too high or too low, your program should give them a hint. The program should behave somewhat like this. So it says guess the number between 1 and 100. And again, this number is a random number between 1 and 100. I'm gonna guess 44. It says too low. I'm gonna guess 69. It says too high. So the secret number should be between 44 and 69. So I'm gonna guess 50 and see what happens. It says too low. So it has to be 55. It says too low. So 59. Too high. So now I know it's between 55 and 59. So let's try 57. It says too low. 58. And it says you guessed correct. So this is the program I want you to make. Give it a shot and let's see how you do it. To start the program, the first step was to import the random class. The random class is a class that will give you a random number, and we're going to store this number in a variable called secret number. To use the random class, you're going to start with random.randint, which is a random integer between 1 and 100. Now we need to save the user's guessed answer. So we're going to create a variable called userGuess, and we're going to make this guessed answer an integer data type, and we're going to use the input function to get the user's response. And we're going to tell the user to guess a number between 1 and 100. Now we're going to create our GameOn variable, and this is a variable that makes sure that our while loop doesn't run infinitely. We're going to set this variable initially to true. Now it's time to create the while loop. So while the GameOn is true, we're going to use a series of if statements to make sure and to notify if our user guessed too high, too low, or if they guessed correctly. Oh, let me put a D right there. So we're going to start with if the user guessed the number too high. So if the user guess was greater than the secret number, we're going to print to the user that they guessed too high. Now if the user guessed too low, we're going to print that they guessed too low. If either of these are false, that means the user guessed the number correctly. So we're going to just use an else statement as the exception, and we're going to print correct. Now, we need to give a user another try if the user got the guessed answer wrong. So we're going to copy this line of code and paste it in these two situations. Now, if the user guessed the number correctly, we have to find a way to stop the while loop. The first way would be to use the break keyword, which is the easiest method to stop the while loop. The other method is to turn the GameOn variable to false. And if you want to make this easier on you, you can print the secret number so you can test it out. So you can print the secret number to test out if your code is running correctly. So let's guess a random number, and it tells you that it's too low. If you want to test it, if your number is too high, you can print a number greater than 81, which is 99, and it tells too high. Now let's guess 81, and as you can see, it's correct. While loops are used in real-world programming all the time. For example, in games, they keep running until the player chooses to quit. In data processing, they help handle tasks like waiting for input or processing large datasets until all data is handled. In web applications, they can manage user sessions or continuously check for changes in data. While loops are versatile and form the backbone of many software systems. Thank you for doing this challenge, and if you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more content about programming, technology, and science. Thank you for watching.